Tommy Richman is somebody who I was not familiar with. I think a lot of people weren't familiar with until Million Dollar Baby basically came out of nowhere and took over the charts and became this very unforeseen #1 kind of hit of the summer. And I want to see, I'm very interested to see how he follows that up, because, in this day and age, a lot of people can seemingly go viral from certain songs and releases, but then they can never seem to follow it up with much of an album or product or a career. So I'm very interested to see how you follow something up as big as that was, because it was massive and it really put him on the map. And I didn't really hear much else that he put out afterwards, but I'm very curious to see how and if he is able to kind of follow it up and kind of solidify his spot amongst, the ever-changing scenery of music. And I'm very interested to see that. And then of course later on I'm gonna be doing Future out of that, but we'll talk about Future when we get to it. But right now, like I said, very interested to see Tommy Richman. Have no expectations, I have know nothing about him. I don't really know any of his music, or I don't know any of his music outside of Million Dollar Baby. I just know he had an absolute smash hit that you could not avoid anywhere you went, and it was definitely one of the more unforeseen surprise smash hit #1 singles that I can remember in recent times. Like with seemingly no promo push, it kind of just got viral and never let up. So I'm very curious to see kind of how it goes and how he's able to deliver on that smash hit with a full project and album of his own. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Track #1, Elephant in the Room, Coyote from one Tommy Richman. Let's go. I mean, right off the back, I was not expecting that type of production and sound from him. Again, I'm very unfamiliar with his music as a whole, but like I thought he was going to be much more of that, how do you say it? Like, I guess at one point you'd call them SoundCloud rappers. I don't think that's really a thing anymore, but kind of like this newer wave of hip hop artists where they all kind of do copy and paste type beats that will play well on social media and TikToks and Reels, but not have any depth or substance. But right off the back with the production that he has on this one, like it caught my immediately. It's very soulful, very kind of lush and layered. And then he's not really rapping. I guess even Million Dollar Baby, he kind of rapped, but almost more so singing, rapping, like a little bit of alternative R&B. But again, very surprised that this is the sound that he has, and like I was not expecting that. I was expecting more kind of trashy SoundCloud cheap beats, but off the back, like pretty dope right now. Again, like very interesting intro, not something that I was expecting from somebody after like a smash viral hit, way more subdued and low key than I was expecting to hear. I don't know how this will play with people who just know him from like a Million Dollar Baby, but again, I think it is interesting. I do like that kind of synth poppy R&B kind of feel that like an artist, say like Tyler the Creator or Toro Imoa or other artists like that kind of playing. And I do think that, he's got interesting enough vocals to kind of complement that type of production. I just don't know how it's going to resonate with people that come from Million Dollar Baby, because it is very kind of jarring almost to go from that to this. Like, I don't really know what to expect, but I was not expecting that. So let's go to track #2, Whitney. Yeah, I mean, I cannot not see the Tyler the Creator type of comparisons, especially in his, I guess, Cherry Bomb and later on kind of production and choices of sound. Like, it's very much in that alternative R&B, soulful, hip hop range. And, I mean, he seems to have a pretty good grasp of that sound and approach. Like it's solid. I wouldn't say it's like absolutely stand out, but it is solid. And I don't think he's really saying anything lyrically that is of kind of matter or concern so far, but vocally, he's got an interesting range and a nice kind of like unique way of delivering things that pair well with the backing soundscape, but it's not like blowing me away either. Yeah, out of everything so far, I can definitely say I'm feeling the production 1,000 times more than I guess his voice or lyricism or like songwriting approach. It's very inoffensive and it's kind of middle of the road, which is not really where you want to be musically. Like it doesn't make me want to cut the song off, but it doesn't make me want to search it out either. And it's like if it's something I heard in the background, it'd be like perfect background music. It's not really pushing the boundaries of anything in particular. And I do think that the sound is not really that novel nowadays. I think a lot of people are alternative and tap into all these different elements and sounds and styles, and like with all those people doing it, I don't think he's doing anything that's necessarily standing out so much like he did on $1 Million Baby. $1 Million Baby did stand out from the crowd, and it did do something differently in the genre and kind of the lane that he's in that made it stick so much with people. And this isn't really following that route. It just seems to be that it's really trying to kind of almost go in the opposite direction of like $1 Million Baby, probably to kind of prove that he is much more than that style or sound. And you shouldn't expect obviously an album full of $1 Million Babies, but he is really taking kind of like a strong left from that sound. And I don't really know how I feel about it. It's very very middling right now. I'm not gonna call it mid, but it's very middling right now. Let's go to track number 3, Temptations. Yeah, again, if you were coming to this from like $1 Million Baby, or that's kind of all you know about him like I did, you would be very surprised about what you're hearing right now, because this is a strong left turn from that very hip hop infused and like backing sound of a $1 Million Baby to this very 70s, 60s funk soul feel that we're getting here. It's nice. Like I love that air and I love that sound. It was just very unexpected to be coming from him after coming from obviously that smash hit that he had. But like I dig it. Like I dig the funk and poppy feel of everything going on right now. That bass line is absolutely filthy, and it's like it's definitely something different and unexpected. And again, we'll have to see like how, which I'm assuming majority of his fans are from that song to like this sound. It is a strong turn. I mean, again, favorite part of this so far is the production and the instrumentation, and like the bass line on this is really, really great. But honestly, like it's just like it feels very empty. I think his subject matter is very, very, very shallow. It's almost like imitating what he would think somebody from that era would kind of be singing about, without like the emotion and the feel and like, hate to say it, but the soul into it. And like also like vocally, he's not like some standout vocalist who will blow you away. And that is something that like $1 Million Baby was really good at kind of covering up, because the production was so dynamic and hard hitting. You weren't really listening for his vocals to be like as standout as you would kind of hope or want somebody to be. But when you have production like this, where it's very much kind of still a platform to really put your vocals out there front and center, he ain't really doing a job for me. And like, again, it just feels very empty. That's all I can say right now. Let's go to the next track, Whisper in My Ear. I mean, but my boy is getting carried right now by the production. Absolutely getting carried right now by the production. If you had given this to somebody like a Tyler the Creator, which I bring up a lot, Brent Faiyaz, or like anybody else, honestly, like that really is polished and has something to truly say, I think that they would take this to a whole nother level. I think the production on here is some of my favorite production I've heard so far on this whole track listing. I know only 4 tracks in, but it's fire. The production is absolutely fire. It's got those hard hitting drums that you would hear in hip hop, but it's got this very smooth, laid back, sensual almost feel to it that like when paired together make this mean kind of like mix. And I think it would have been a perfect ground for like anybody else. I just don't think he can do much outside of like what we've been hearing. I just don't see, again, any intention, any emotion, any soul. I just don't feel any soul behind this. And it's just like, I don't really know what it is, but it just all feels very like, oh, we got a hit, so we have to put an album out now. Like, That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like he had anything to really say. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier that I thought he was kind of gonna be from that kind of SoundCloud era of artists, and like he still feels like that. Maybe not production wise and like intention, but he comes off as that, as somebody who is just putting out music to put out because he wants to put out music, but doesn't really have anything interesting to say. Like, I haven't been interested in any of things that he's been saying on these songs. Like, I don't like his songwriting at all right now. I don't think he has really good delivery that pulls you in. It just feels like something that is unpolished and not really having, you know, a direction. Like, he feels directionless right now, and the production is doing all of the work. Let's go to track number 5, Give It All. I mean, can you imagine what a Bruno Mars would do to this track? Like, honestly, like really think about Bruno Mars and what he would do to this type of production. Like, I just can't not say it. Like, I just don't think he's doing any of the production justice, and it's really doing, they're really trying to carry my guy throughout this album, because it's got some fire ass production, and like I just cannot help but think, like, what if somebody else had this beat, like, would murder this? Like, Bruno Mars would murder this. And the closest comparison, I think, because it keeps popping in my head right now, is off of was it 24 Karat Magic? Check the single list. Yeah, like something that he did on like Finesse, or no, Versace on the Floor, and then like to come back and hear this. Like, imagine what Bruno Mars would do to this track. And it's just like, he feels monotone. He feels one note delivery wise. He isn't really able to switch it up vocally. And it's just like, where's the emotion? Where's the feel? Like, where is it? And it's just something that's really jarring and missing to me. I mean, production is great. Production is absolutely great. Like, I in better hands, I think they would absolutely destroy this track. Like, I think it's got potential, but it's just, again, he just feels so lifeless on here, and I don't get it. Let's go to track number 6, Tennessee. I mean, as simple as this beat is, and production wise, like, honestly, this is the most interesting vocally he's been, because again, with this type of production and everything else that's going on, and obviously like he's got his guest features on here, he's not front and center. His vocals aren't front and center trying to carry a song, when quite honestly, he's not very a good single. He can be a good singer. He could be a vocalist, but he's not a good singer. And he does do some interesting things vocally, but like, I honestly think it pairs much better with the more hip hop infused and influenced songs and music, hence his massive hit. So I'm very confused why he went this completely opposite direction than what people obviously made him famous and popular for in the first place. Like, obviously that's what people were feeling and liking, and then for you to be like, nah, I'm a singer. Like, no, you're not, bro. Like, no, you're not. Like, no, you're Ro. Like, as The Rock said, no, you're Ro jabroni. And it's just like, when you do a hip hop song like this, like, I'm not looking for the voice or the vocals. Like, I'm just making sure it sounds in line with everything else that is going on, that you got the rhythm, that you got some delivery. Like, as long as like you're not absolutely completely offbeat and just saying some whack shit, like, you're fine in this lane. And like, where I'm not expecting you to like deliver emotionally or songwriting wise like a production of like a soulful R&B pop song requires, and I just don't think he has that in him from what I've seen. And like, honestly, like, I don't know why he switched it up so much, but this is the route he should have been going this whole time. Honestly, like, just make us vibe and feel what like the music is doing without having to focus on your vocals, and he would be a much more successful, well, he would have a much more successful run on this album to me than he is having right now, because I don't understand why he like fought so hard against that more hip hop sound and like route. That is what got you popping. Like, why wouldn't you continue down that road? That's what people liked you for. Obviously, that's what people are here for. And then for you not to really give it in the degree that people were expecting is kind of crazy to me. And like, almost like you're self-sabotaging at this point. Like, I just don't get it. Let's go track number 7, Thought You Were the One. Yeah, I tried. He is a bad singer. Like, he is unequivocally a bad singer. And again, like, something that was clearly covered up by the production and just the overall vibe and feel of the songs that he kind of turned into a hit, really covered up his shortcomings as a singer. But for him to go this like route where he thinks he's just gonna, like, I don't know what he thought he was gonna do, like he's gonna carry his songs vocally, it's kind of crazy to me. Like, nobody in his camp is telling him like this ain't the move. Like, you need to be kind of a hybrid artist where you have some vocalization and you can do some things interesting vocally, but they are not going to be the star of the show because he's just not a good singer, and this song sucks. Let's go to track number 8, Letterman. I mean, if nothing else, man, he got good producers. Like, I don't really know who's behind most of his production, but I mean, they're doing their best job to kind of imitate that whole Odd Future, Tyler the Creator, the internet type vibes from that era of like the mid to early 2010s. And that is a phenomenal era of sound. And like, I don't blame them for kind of going down that route, but like, his production alone is great. Like, he's got great production and great, you know, an ear for what sounds good. Obviously why his, like, he went so popular in the first place, but like, him not realizing that the vibes are what carrying him, that'd be like Future doing an album and like, he's like, my vocals and my singing are what's going to carry. Like, no, you can sing, bro, but like, not at the degree where I want that to be front and center. Like, I want you to be able to deliver these vibes in a way that like a hip hop artist can, and that's the route he should have been. But he chose a very interesting direction. And Jonah Roy is producer, but like, his producer is fire right now, I'm not gonna lie. To me, that's easily the best song that he's had on this entire project. Again, while it's far less like hip hop influenced than like, you know, say $1 Million Baby, but like, it's easily the best song that he's had on here. He wasn't trying to do too much vocally. He was kind of letting the vibes kind of carry things, and I think it was a great vibe. The production was absolutely phenomenal. He's had great production this entire run so far, and like, that should be kind of at the forefront, and then you just add on to it to really deliver a vibe and a whole package that people can kind of feel and rock out to. But like, this is it. Like, I just don't understand why he's trying to make his voice and singing ability be the forefront of a lot of these songs, because it should not be. But like, when he's kind of more subdued and like playing in the background, not the background, but like the mid ground, and mixing in with everything else that's going on around him with this phenomenal production, I do think he's okay. But when he's like trying to take the stage and be front and center, it's just not working for me. Let's go to track number 9, Green Therapy. The vibes, when he lets the vibes carry things and lets the feel of the music, let alone not like the technical aspects of like singing and being an artist, but like the vibes and the feel, it should be his lane, because he does do a decent job of like bringing the vibes vocally when the production is also like at this high level. But again, when he tries to like take over, things go awry. But like, right now, he's in the pocket and he's just letting the song vibe out, and it's working for me. I mean, that's two in a row. That's two in a row that I've liked. I was about ready to give up. That's two in a row that I've actually liked and shows why he does have potential as an artist and somebody that can actually have a lane and staying power in the music industry. I just don't think he recognizes so far that this is kind of the lane that he should be in if he's not doing those more hip-hoppy, punchy, clubby type songs like Dollar Baby was. Like, and you're gonna go this route, at least let the vibes kind of carry you and deliver it and have the feel for the music. Like, this was it. This was a vibe. This was dope. I don't think he actually had anything to say like at all, once again, but like it was a vibe and I can deal with that. Like, it's kind of inoffensive vibe music, and that's fine. That's fine for some people. Let's go to track number 10, Vanity. I mean, I can't deny it. Definitely very much Weeknd-esque. Like, has that very kind of retro 80s synth pop feel of like a Weeknd song. And like, I can definitely feel like that's probably kind of like the direction he's going by. So it's kind of like Michael Jackson-esque by proxy of the Weeknd, who was also kind of trying to imitate the Michael Jackson sound from that era and kind of bringing it up to modern times. And this kind of feels like the direction that he's going on, or going with here. There's definitely very Weeknd type of sound and style that's kind of coming from here, like this very synthy 80s-esque synth electro pop. I mean, the production is absolutely phenomenal. He has a great ear. Let me say what you want about his music and his songwriting and his like singing ability and vocally, but like, when it comes to production, he's got an absolutely fantastic ear, and whoever he has producing, again, it's Jonah Roy behind this one as well, with a couple other people like Voxberg and Spizzle, but like the production choice on this is phenomenal, and the production here is great. I think the bass line on here is absolutely nasty. Whoever's playing the bass guitar is nasty, and that's, again, it's something that if I was to hear like the Weeknd on, like I wouldn't be surprised or even blink an eye. I think the production is that good. I mean, again, like, as much as I've kind of been shitting on this guy and his music and his album so far, like, songs like this and moments like this really show why he has potential and why he was able to create such a massive moment as like $1 Million Baby, because like there's something there, and he kind of has an understanding for music and artistry from obvious perspective and a good sound, and like he's got a great ear for production. He just does not always like bring it all together and like really understand his role within the music. And then there's moments like this where like I'm kind of taken aback, like this can't be the same guy that I was looking to earlier, because like he delivers perfectly on this song. Like, so far, like he understands kind of his role on this song, and that it shouldn't be front and center and foremost, but he's kind of letting the vibes once again kind of take over, and they're fucking immaculate of vibes. Like, again, it's very much of that Weeknd-esque era, almost Odd Future-esque era, where it's like very alternative R&B, pop, soul, however you want to say it, but like he's kind of nailing that feel and direction. Like, it's definitely heavy on the vibes in this song, and I'm digging it so far. I mean, I'll give it to him. Like, Vanity definitely showed off his full potential as an artist. It's definitely a standout from this entire project. I think it's one that, you know, maybe you can question and wonder, like, everything leading up to this, but then you hear this and you're like, oh, okay, maybe there's something there. Maybe I do want to hear more of his music, because like it's that good. It's that lush, layered, dense, like expansive. I think he nailed kind of that kind of retro feel and still brought it up to like modern times. Like, it's a song that like would fit very much in like the Weeknd's discography as of late, where it's really tapping into that more retro, almost Michael Jackson-esque feel, but then bringing it back to this like modern time. And like, again, I think he really understood his role in here. It's not to be front and center and going like these crazy vocal runs, but like really kind of like mix like almost hip-hop style delivery with some more vocalization and kind of letting the vibes kind of carry things. And like, this is the vibe of a song, and like it's up there. It's definitely one of my favorite songs that I've heard on this entire project so far, and it's one that I think really truly shows his depth and dimension and ability as an artist. This is definitely a standout, and like unfortunately it just doesn't really match up. Well, everything else in this album hasn't matched up to the level of like artistry that he's displayed here, but like this was an impressive display of artistry, and it's a fire song. Go to the last track, Seems Like Time Moves Forever. This is very, very, very Toro Imoa-esque. It's kind of like the indie pop, synth pop wave of like those earlier to mid 2000s that like artists like Toro Imoa really brought to the forefront, and he's definitely diving heavily into like that kind of direction. He is experimental, if he's not anything else, he is experimental, and like he is adventurous. He does try things and he does take chances on this album, and like that's commendable. This one, I think he's doing a decent job. Once again, like vocally, he kind of keeps things subdued and kind of just flows with the track, and it's kind of working. I think the production, again, is still the forefront, but this one is not bad so far. It's actually pretty decent. I mean, after what was a very shaky start to this project, and one that I was just about ready to kind of write him off about halfway through, like I feel like he really picked things up on that back half. He had a decent little run from Letterman to Green Therapy to Vanity to Seems Like Time Moves Forever, and I think he really kind of like found a groove and like his lane a little bit more towards the end of his track. Towards the end of this project, because like he wasn't forcing things. He wasn't trying to be front center. He wasn't trying to vocally carry things. He was kind of just vibing with the production, which was phenomenal. Like again, the production on this one, Seems Like Time Moves Forever, was phenomenal production. It's very much Toro Imoa kind of synth pop, and I'm here for that because I love that sound and I love that kind of style of music, and like I think he did a good job of nailing that. And like pretty much everything here felt like almost, not want to say imitation, but definitely like you can see his influences and he wears them on his sleeves, and like that's kind of how he came out. But like, and he was clearly trying to distance himself from like $1 Million Baby, and then I forget whatever second single he put out after that, like, Oh, The Devil Is a Lie, that also kind of like got a little bit of buzz and attention. Like he's really trying to distance himself for that kind of sound and style, and like kind of show everybody like that's not who I am, or that's not at least only who I am as an artist. And that's a interesting, slightly misguided kind of direction to take, because if that is what is bringing people in, then that's what is bringing people in. That's what people resonate with you the most. Like why wouldn't you kind of feed them that? Because that is why you have an audience in the first place. Why would you go in the completely opposite direction? I don't know why you wouldn't include those singles on this album. Again, I don't know why, because you're clearly trying to distance yourself from that, almost like you're not happy or don't like those songs and how popular and like how big they became, which, you know, is a thing in music and does happen with artists. But like you can't be mad when your audience and your fans and like people that don't even know who you are finding it and resonating with. Like run with that, like double down on that, like establish yourself as an artist. Because when you just go completely 180 like you almost did here, I think it's going to leave a lot of people confused. And like if they're coming straight from $1 Million Baby, I'm like, oh, I want to hear what else he has, and then hear all this, like maybe that might not be what they're trying to hear, because that's not what brought them to you in the first place. And like it was a very, very interesting choice. Like I kind of understand like nowadays, because CDs and physical music and medium isn't a big thing in the US or the world really, and like so it's not like a needed that you need to have that one big single like you did back in the day on the CD. But still, why wouldn't you include it? Like remind people and let people know like this is me too, like this is what I am capable of, like hit wise. And it's just like very interesting move, because you were clearly trying to distance yourself, and if you were to put those songs on there, I think they would stand out so much from the rest of this and like be so opposite and different than what we're hearing here, that people might question like, why didn't you just give me more of this kind of style and sound and direction? Like obviously he has other interests, he has other fields, he wants to be taken seriously as an artist, and that's commendable. But when you're hot, you almost have to just do what you have to do to establish yourself and make sure that you're not just a 15-minute one-hit wonder type act, because those are a dime a dozen, much more so than somebody like gets a hit and then continues their career on. From here, I don't really know which direction he's going to go. I don't really know how his career is going to look, but I'd be very surprised if he was able to kind of maintain this attention and like position in the industry that he has now. Based on this, I think it's decent. No, take that back. I think there's decent stuff on here, and I think there's elements here that really show his potential as an artist, as a musician. I just don't know that the audience and the crowd out there are going to be around long enough to give him the chance to evolve and improve and get better, and to like really fully flush out the sounds that he was going for. Because behind the great production was some pretty shitty vocals and vapid, lifeless, emotionless songwriting. He just had nothing to say of import. And that can only carry you so long. And production can only carry you so long when you're delivering such lifeless songwriting. Like, if your songwriting is gonna be this forgettable, your production, your delivery, presentation, your vibes better be on 1,000. And they just weren't here. So like, I'm very, won't say concerned, because you know he's not an artist I check for, but I have a hard time seeing him kind of like continuing from here and making a career out of this, because I feel like he's going to be one of those artists that was here today and gone tomorrow, because there's still a lot of room to grow here. It's almost like a curse that he got so big so fast, because he clearly was not ready for that, to follow that up. And like, he just didn't have enough things to talk about or say that are interesting here, quite honestly. Outside of a few tracks, this is a hard pass for me, and one that I probably will not revisit in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, what do you guys think about Tommy Richman's new album, Coyote? Did a little to the hype. Do you think he has potential to kind of deliver something again? Another project? Do you want to hear another project from him? Do you think he will ever be able to top $1 million? I don't think he will. But was that the sound and expectation that you were having from him going to this album? Or are you cool with this like more indie, synthy, electro pop that he kind of gave us here? Let me know in the comments down below.